Let's take off the sunglasses.
All right, take it.
Here, and Tim, we want to get in this frame here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We've been thinking
First
about
off, I got to get your glasses on.
Hot Tub Chronicles. Where's Tim? So recently we watched, or we shared the WeShip from 2 years ago, the episode where you were talking about taking 3 years off.
Yes.
And here we are now in our 2 years off, still 1 year to go of being off. And I thought it would just be cool to share an update that in that time frame we were pulled to this beautiful float home, our float home that we purchased together, and we're floating in our hot tub on the deck
on the Peace Ocean.
The Pacific. We just recently learned the Pacific Ocean came from the word peace. And I thought it would be cool to just give a little update for the WeShip channel alive, because I'm going to continue sharing our journey to how we got here, through, the RV being our big stretch to purchasing in the RV together, and then coming out west 2 summers ago, realizing we loved it when we came to the island, and came back last summer and were led very magically to this space, which we'll continue telling that story, but we also just wanted to just be more present as well and just share what's going on in our life. So how, Tim, is your time off going that was once challenging for you to even take 3 weeks off?
Well, I was gonna say when we were talking about 2 years, because it was very difficult for me to take 3 weeks, and then we went to Costa Rica, and that was, I don't know, about a month.
A month, yeah.
And then we concluded there. I says, oh my God, I think I got to take some time off here. I am just absolutely totally wiped out, exhausted. And now, it's been 2 years, and I can understand I've been wiped out, exhausted, because I have defined who I am incorrectly. Let's just say, I am someone who is exceedingly creative, who, for various reasons, was encouraged to actually go into business rather than pursue my creative love of music and art, mostly music at the time when I was 18, and then started down that journey, and then started to say, okay, if I'm going to work in the business world, I'm going to be successful in this. So I got to figure out what the structures and the strategies and the positioning and process and all that's all about, which I did for a number of years, and it almost killed me. I now can see, because I am by design not meant to push. I'm meant to sit in hot tubs and relax and allow life to unfold in ways that are very mystical and magical, and ways that I would never have actually understood, except to actually, I think, frame our business orientation to flow. And because that was the closest word I could use that the business world would understand and creatives would understand. And it's a word that's been tossed around by Csikszentmihalyi for a number of years. And flow is just a really cool word to say, I don't know how this really works. And I think, maybe it's this. And then there's just continuous theories on it. So I'm pretty jazzed about taking another year off, because I finally actually got on board with, that's what you've been trying to tell me, Sarah. I needed to do this or take this approach or consider this whole other orientation. And how much time do you have? I could go on for years.
Yeah, which is why I thought, let's start putting out little videos here and there, just sharing the story, because I think that ultimately what the story is not saying everyone needs to take 3 years off, but to consider that how we've defined ourselves, or developed identities, false identities in a lot of cases, and need to keep up with that false identity and push our way through. Most people are realizing it doesn't work anymore and are burning out. And if we can, be that voice of permission to slow down, to pause, to take 3 years off. And again, it doesn't have to be 3 years, but in our case, we're very fortunate to be able to do that, and realize also that it's not really off. Like, we're not just sitting in hot tubs every day. We're actually, developing our capacity, our bandwidth capacity. I know my nervous system has reset as a function of
Yes.
living here, which is
critical
to building anything that's sustainable. And so it's kind of, it's not really we're taking time off. We're doing the thing that is actually we feel is the most important thing to be doing, which is letting go of false identities, resetting the nervous system, getting more aligned with our true nature and in rhythm with nature, and honoring the things that are really valuable, like the earth, like our natural rhythms. And
well, even the natural rhythm of the earth with the, what do they call it, astrology, and because we just went through a full moon in Sagittarius, and I'm something's important about Sagittarius with me, and holy freaking crowley, what
breakthroughs
and insights and everything, up is down is up, and all of a sudden things make sense. And nowhere close to what it is that I've actually thought made sense. Now it's just go, okay, I have to be me, and I have to be me, and that I have to actually find out what that is, so I have to go inside me. Well, I knew that was a journey. I thought that was taking a couple of weeks, and then you go, okay, I figured out who I am, let's go. So it ends up that takes maybe a little bit more than a little time. And the other thing that actually is really, really good for that is a crisis. Because it's the only way and the only time I've ever
and the crisis, for anybody who's new, would be losing Sharon.
Yes.
Sharon having cancer and going on a 5-year
journey
caregiving journey and scary journey of death.
Or even her concern that I was going to die as a function of it, because it was such a burden.
Yeah, and my crisis being, breaking my ankle and then just crashing, having multiple crashes that had led up to that. Like that was a burnout, number 3. And
well, what is also, it enabled the 3 Musketeers to get together. So
yes.
You came and lived with us because you couldn't move around.
Yeah.
And Sharon was very supportive of you. I mean, she's supportive in so many ways that are just mind-boggling now when I look at it in the rearview mirror. At the time, I couldn't really understand it, but that in itself is a wild journey. It was this unplanned,
beautiful triangle of healing, and also just to be a messenger in sharing our story of, in the darkest times, there can be beauty if we stay open to it, and continuing to share that story too, from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and all of what we've captured and recorded, and it just feels like a poignant time to just share while we're right stewing in it, and
in our pot,
and also in our reflection in the years, the 2 years ago, and just collectively what we experienced through the COVID and lockdowns, and that being such a marker of change. And I know there's some people that think that, things have just gone back to normal, but I think it's becoming more and more exceedingly tangible, the fact that there is no going back to normal. And we talk a lot about moving into 2027 and the change of the energy that we are already experiencing, and the decay of what was and what it means moving forward. And Tim having the design of what this future, and in a lot of ways me as a mental projector as well, having the design to speak to what this future is.
And the future leader,
the future human,
be doing a great job as a leader in the old economy. That was my attempts, but being really, really, totally, absolutely, perfectly aligned for the new energy. And what the heck does that mean? The new energy being, if you're trying to build a plan, you need some version of gravity to keep that plan in place, or say it's a bridge or something else. But if actually that type of gravity totally disappears, the bridge totally falls apart. You can get the raw materials and you keep on trying to find a bridge or build a strategy or a structure or a process, and it constantly falls apart, because as we click closer to 2027, the energy that supports that is now gone. What?
Yeah. So lots of things to talk about.
Lots of things to
share, and we're happy to be here in present moment time in 2025 with you in this wild thing we call living life as a human.
Slovering out.
Slovering
As
out.
we used to say.
Yeah. Anything you want to add there, Finn? No, she's just keeping lookout for the seals and the otters. Until next time.